Hello everybody and welcome back to another video into our journey through data science. In today's video, we're going to be covering Python basics. So now let me explain to you what we're going to cover in this video because we're going to go through 4 parts, and the first part is we're going to start off with our traditional hello world program. We're going to go in and we're going to execute hello world, bada bing, bada boom. All right. Then we're going to move on to types. We're going to go into the string types, integer types, floats, booleans. We're going to try to get a understanding of some of the most commonly used data types. Then we're going to go into expressions and variables. What's an expression? What's a variable? Then we're going to, of course, do a little bit of work on Python to explain these. And then we're going to finish this video off with some string operations. So we're going to be running a couple of the most common, we're going to be running a couple methods onto these strings, and we'll see what we get. So let's jump right into the video. Thank you. All right, so let's jump right into our Sublime text editor. But if you downloaded PyCharm, this is the other option. I'm actually gonna start it up on PyCharm, so it's loading. All right, there you go. So we're gonna want to create a new project in PyCharm or Sublime Text. You can either have it up here. I'll enlarge it, but I'll just create the project in PyCharm real quick. So I'm gonna call it. What are we gonna call it? I'm gonna call it. There we go. All right, I'm gonna call it Python introduction underscore. And I'm just gonna call this one. Let's go basics. All right. We're just gonna want to create. Once you create it, you're gonna get a PyCharm window. Let's enlarge it. Right. So now from here, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna go to your folder over here, and you're gonna. Oops. What's going on? All right. There you go. You're gonna want to right click, and you want to go to new, and you're gonna want to click on Python file. And then we're just going to name our file, like I said. So we're going to call this one Python underscore basics. And then we're going to want to do .py. You don't have to add a .py, but I'm just going to add it. It should add it for you automatically. There we go. So we're going to start off with, here we go. Let's make it all the way big. And it does not let me enlarge it. All right. There we go. So first things first, we're going to run our hello world program just to get a field. So all we're going to do here is we're going to do print. There we go. And then we're going to do the caps. Hello world. Right. And that's it. And like I said, if you're doing it on PyCharm to run, you're just going to right click, and then you're going to want to hit run, whatever you name your file, does not matter. You're going to hit run, and you're going to find it is executed with no errors down in the little box area at the bottom. So if you want to follow the videos using this, you can, and to compile, all you have to do is hit the compile button and we'll run it again. Hello. All right. And so now if you're running, what I recommend, let's enlarge it real quick so everyone can see. We're gonna want to do same thing, print. We're gonna want to go in here, and we're gonna do hello world. There we go. And now we're gonna want to hit Command Save to save our file, or go into File and hit Save. And this is the other method you can do it. And so for mine, I'm going to put it, this is where I have it, mine over here. And I'm going to hit, we're going to name this one, same thing, Python underscore basics .py. And this one you will need to add the .py just so the text editor recognizes that it's a Python file. And then we're going to want to hit save. It should say, yeah, we're just going to replace it real quick. There we go. And so you see the colors have now changed. So now you're probably wondering, oh, well, how do we, compile our program? Well, in order to compile your program, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up your terminal. We're going to open up our terminal, enlarge the text because it gets annoying when you can't see. We are going to open up our text editor. Then we're going to want to hit, well, if you don't know how to use the terminal, we're going to do ls, and ls stands for list. So we're going to list in our home directory. Well, here, we'll see the path. What is it? Print working directory. So we'll see. So we're in users, and we're in my name, Jonathan Banda. And if you don't understand, here, I'll show you real quick. If we go to applications, we go to our Mac. This is where, I guess, let's see. We're Macintosh HD, right? So it's saying we're in users, right? We're in users. So if we go click users, we have guests, the home and shared. So I am in my name, Jonathan Banda, and we click on it, and then it's going to show you all of this. You have applications, desktop, document, downloads, movies, and all that stuff. And so this is what we see over here: applications, desktop, downloads, and all that. So just to give you a little idea, so like I said here, let's clear this, and then we're gonna pwd. So again, we're here, we're gonna ls, and it's gonna show us all of our things. And so now if you remember where we saved our Python file, we're gonna wanna go into that Python file. So I put it in my PyCharm, projects, right? And CD stands for change directory. So we're going to be changing into PyCharm projects. This is our directory. We're going to hit that. It works. And again, here, let's clear the screen. We're going to hit ls, so list the directory we are in. And you can see here I have just a GUI. I have the Hangman game, and then here we go. This is where we want to go into Python Introduction Basics. So again, this is a directory. I think it's a directory. Here, let me just double check. Yeah, it's a directory. So we're gonna want to go into the directory again. I know this is a little bit more time consuming, but I recommend it because you get a better feel a text editor without all those nice tools. Ooh, oh, and I forgot the N over here. So let's just do that. There we go. And if we list again, here we go. So we have our Python basics.py. And so all we need to do to run it, we're going to do Python 3. And then we're going to do Python _ basics.py. And there we go. Now we have hello world. A little bit more time to get our hello world to compile, but it compiles. And again, if we want to change it, all you have to do is here we'll do hi everyone, and then we'll do a couple exclamation marks. And all you want to do is now you just want to hit save. If you go back to your terminal, you're going to want to run your program again, and it should update it. So it says hi everyone. So that'll be it for our hello world introductions. We're going to be moving on to types next. So let's go on forward into our types. So yeah, like I said, we're going to talk about types, and we're going to only talk about integers, strings, booleans. Then we're going to move on to expressions, variables, and then string operations. So you can take a quick glance of how we're going to do all this. So let's get into it. So first things first, we're going to want to see what an integer is. An integer will be anything on the timeline. So just imagine the timeline. An integer will be anything from 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way until whatever big number your system can handle. And then it's going to go all the way to the left again. And it's just going to be, these are going to be your negative numbers. And sorry for the bad writing. But yeah, so this is going to cover our integers. Over here, like I said, right now I am in comment mode. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, all these numbers, they're all valid. And like I said, I'm in comment mode. So, well, not comment mode, but I'm basically doing comments. If you 3 quotation marks, and you can basically do a block of comments, as opposed to just doing a hashtag for a comment. So yeah, as you can see, like I said, exit code ran 0, so this is fine. We'll get into better syntax later on, but I just want to show you what an integer is. And like I said, these are just ints, regular whole number integers. We also can get numbers such as these. Boom, 1.2. Anything with a decimal or carrying zeros will result in a float type. So now if you want to see what these numbers are looking like, so it's a 1.2, you know, we can have a 1.6, any number with a decimal, it's pretty much a float. So we're gonna do type. Well, no, here we'll print it out. See, we're gonna print out, right? Remember from last time, this is a function. We're gonna print to our little terminal over here. We're gonna do print, and then we're gonna type in type and then parentheses, and inside type we're gonna put in a number for say 1. We're gonna run our code, and you can see it's coming out as an integer. So now what happens if we change this value, or here, we'll just copy it over here. If we change this value into a 1.5, we should get a float, because this is a float. It's a 1 as an integer and then a 1.5 for a float. So that pretty much covers all the integers you really need. And then if we go down into strings, strings is anything contained in double quotes, such as hello, hello in our previous example, or in single quotes. Single quotes, and like I said, anything can be noted to. You can do, we'll do banana, there we go. And inside parentheses, or not parentheses, double quotations or single quotes, you can basically write whatever you want. You know, we can do numbers, you can do special characters, anything goes. Okay, so yeah, that basically covers our strings. You can put numbers in there, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'll be a string. There is no characters in Python. Everything is classified as a string. So as you can see, we'll put in a string here. Here we already turned the 1.5 into a string because it has double quotation marks, and you can see it's a str, which is string. We can do a single e, and we'll get a string. As you can see over here, we have our number, integer, float, and then a string. So we'll do now easy. Yeah, it's pretty easy. And again, we have a string. So just get you a little understanding of what these data types are. So now let's move on to booleans. So now booleans is, so yeah, we have true and then we have false. True is denoted by a 1 and false is denoted by 0. So this is how the computer makes decisions. 1 for on, 0 for off. If you think of a light switch, you'll see that it usually has a 1 and a 0, which is indicating as on or off. So yeah, we have true, false, and we can look at the type, just how we've been seeing the other types for the strings and integers. So if we go in here and then we do a true, let's run it. We get a boolean type. Same thing goes for if we do a false. And remember, it's capital. There we go, spelling it again incorrect. There we go. Yeah, there you go. So we have int, float, string, bool. We'll go into data structures in a later video, but just keep that in mind. I'm not going to go too in depth for our types. So that's about it. Let's go ahead and erase this white pad, and let's move on to expressions and variables. All right, so an expression, let's first define the term expression. An expression is going to be anything that the computer wants to be made to do. For example, let's say we want to do the following. We want the computer to do 1 plus 1, right? This is an expression. If we want the computer to do 2 divided by 2, that's an expression. Same goes for all of the operators, all the arithmetic operators. So of course we're gonna have plus, we're gonna have the minus, we're gonna have the multiplication, and we're gonna have the XOR, we're gonna have the OR, we have AND, we have all sorts of operators. And basically, if you put this with any other number or variable type, you would have an expression. So now a full statement would look something like this. You have your variable. We'll just call something a variable. Now we're just saying the name variable so you don't get confused. Variable. Well, my typing's not that great today. So we have variable, and then we have 1 plus 2. This is a whole statement. This is a whole valid statement in Python, which brings us on to our next topic of variables. So now, like I was saying about variables can be anything except numbers. All right. So if we go down here underneath variables, we'll do x equals 1. Okay. X equals 1. And let's just go over here and we're going to comment this out just so we don't have any trouble. There we go. All right. We're going to comment that out. Oh, man. 1, 2. There we go. Yeah. So we declared a variable named x. And we're going to name another variable named y equals, we'll do 5. All right, so now let's see what happens if we name a variable. Well, here, first let's execute it. Make sure we're all good. See exit code 0. So no problems. Everything's green. We have our check mark up here. All right, so now let's see what happens if we do for, say, 2. 2 equals 9. All right, we're starting to see red already. Let's run it. There we go. Syntax error, cannot assign two literals. So we cannot name our variables numbers. You're just going to get an error. Another way to get an error is if, let's say, you import a library or using something externally and you name something like, let's see if all right, so you're basically going to want to come up with unique names for your variables so you don't forget. For example, if let's say you're doing a little counter, you're going to want to name the variable counter, and then equal to whatever you want it to equal, 0, 1, 7, 8, whatever you want, So like I said, we'll run this. Everything's all right. So now let's see what we get if we store, let's say we change counter to z, right? So we do z equals x plus y. We're going to we're telling the machine to get x from memory, which stores 1. So we're going to put 1 over here, and then it's going to do the same thing with y, and it's going to pull 5. So it should be 1 plus 5 stored into z. So in order to see what we're going to get, we're going to do print. We're going to do print z, and let's see what we get. 6. Yeah, there you have it. You have 1 plus 5 equals 6. Okay, so now what might happen if we have another variable named t? Or how about division? Let's talk about division. So if we change this to 6, change this to 2, there we go. Division, and we do y divided by 2. Let's see what we get. X. Let's see what we get. We get 8. So for string operations, I'm going to use our whiteboard again. So up here at the bottom, here we go. Here, let's make this a little bit bigger. And we'll just delete this to save us the trouble. So over here, we're going to define a variable called name. Excuse me. We're going to define a variable called name. And we're going to call this, we're going to call our name by your name, whatever your name is. My name is Jonathan, right? So now let me tell you how strings work in Python, right? So if you think of a box, this is going to be a lot. All right, here we go. We'll think of a box. You know what? I'm going to change my name. I'm going to change my name to, how about we'll just do dog, and we'll change our variable to pet, right? So we have a pet dog, right? So let's see how it looks like underneath. So we're gonna have D over here, we're gonna have O, and then we're gonna have G. So in Python, the way numbers work, it's you start from 0, 1, and 2. This will be what we call our index. And yeah, so you see we have indexing. So let's cover indexing first. So this is how indexing works. You have a string, and this also works with lists and so all that other stuff. But right now we're going to be only talking about strings. So like I said, D is at index 0, O is at index 1, G is at index 2. So now let's confirm that. We're going to go print. Let's just have our print ready. We're going to do A equals. We're going to give it pet, right? And we're going to go for index 0. This is how you index strings. You use brackets. And then, like I said, we're going to go for index 0, and we're going to store it into A. So if we want to print A, we'll see what it gives us. It gives us D, because we're calling upon pet. So we're going to pet equals dog. So we're just going at index 0. Index 0 is D. So that's why it's returning D. So that about sums up our normal indexing. But what about negative indexing, right? So all this is positive. Again, I'll run 1. Run should give us 0, O. 2 should give us G. Yeah, there you go. 2 gives us G. So now what happens if we do a negative number, such as negative 1? What will happen? Negative 1 gives us G. This is negative 1 in indexing is equivalent to calling the length and then subtracting it by 1. That's basically the equivalent. You'll learn later on when you start messing around with length. We're actually here. Now, I might as well show you length. Yeah, here we go. We'll just do pet, and then we'll do the function length. And this basically calls the length of the word pet. So our length is 1, 2, 3. So we should get 3. There you have it. We have 3. So moving on to slicing and dicing. All right, slicing and dicing. Here we go. All right. So in order to slice, basically what we're gonna do with slicing, it's think of you have a watermelon, right? You're gonna cut the watermelon into slices, into parts, into pieces. So if we have, we'll change this to doggo, if that's how you spell it. We'll do doggo. So A is going to equal part of a slice. And now let me give you the syntax for slicing. Slicing is pretty much, so we're gonna want to call for our variable name pet, right? So we have pet equal to dog. So we're going to do pet. Sorry for the handwriting. We have pet. Then we're going to do, this is the syntax, brackets. And then we're going to slice. So let's say we want to get dough. Not go, but dough. So we're going to call for 0, the index 0. Because remember, over here, pet 0 is D. So we want to get DO. So then we're just going to do the colons, and we're going to want to call for 0, 1, 2 for G. We're going to want to call for 2, right? But you're probably wondering, oh, well, why are we going to call for 2 if 2 is G? Well, what's going to happen is you're going to account for an offset of 1 from 2. So now let's see what happens if we do 0 with an offset of 2. It's really going to get 0 to 1 because you're cutting it at the 2 mark. So let's see what we get. There you have it, DO. What about if we do 2 and we do 5? Then we get go. Because we're going to go for our index 2, 0, 1, 2, 4. If we did 4, we'd just get G. So we had to do an offset of 1. There we go. Oh, well, yeah, there you go. I guess 4 works the same thing. Yeah, you get the idea. If you mess around with it long enough, you'll get the hang of it. You will get the hang of it indeed. So now in order to do strides here, let's clear this one out. Strides, it's if you've ever run, think of it like really long steps. If you don't know what stride means, it's basically you're taking a really long step. So if you have index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So let's say we want to skip by 2. So we'll get this value, skip this value, get this value, skip this value, get this value, skip this value, and get this value. And how this will look like, it's going to basically be 2 colons and then by 2. So how will this work? We should be getting D and G. So let's go ahead, do a 2 over here, take that out, and that, add 2, and we'll see what we get. There you go, DG. It's basically skipping if you want to, get values repetitively by a number. And so that is that. So now let's go into concatenating strings. Concatenation, all right. So if you don't know what that means, it's basically you're putting 1 and 2 together. Yeah, just like how it sounds. So let's say we have, let's change this up now. We'll do name. Well, here we go. We'll do first underscore name. My name is Jonathan. And then we'll do a variable called last name. My last name is not in Banda. It's just Banda, right? So in this variable, we're gonna call this full name. Let's do it like that. Oops, yeah, there you go. We'll do full name. So now full name, you could obviously do it, your whole name like that. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just want to have your names in variables. For other reasons, you'll discover these reasons in future. So what you can do is you can do first name, and this is what I was saying about these nice text editors. They just enter the value. But I really enjoy Sublime Text because it makes you type. You can get good at typing also that way. And so basically what this is doing, it's taking Jonathan. So it's taking this name. So it's taking name, first name. Here, we'll just keep it short. We'll just do John in parentheses. And it's adding, because we have our operator add. And we'll just do ban, because let's not write the whole thing. Sorry for my writing. But it's putting them together. So it should give us John ban. And now notice how they're together. If you want them to have a space, then you're going to want to add your own little, here we go, your own little space. So if we run this, what? It appears we have an error because we are trying to print a variable that does not exist. So let's put the correct variable. And there you have it, Jonathan Banda with the space. So now let's take away the space. There you go. It's full. It is full. And that's pretty much the whole idea with concatenating strings. Now, moving on to escape strings. Escaping strings, it's basically these slashes here. Let's delete this. Or actually, no. We'll keep it. We will keep it. Now we'll delete it. We'll delete this. So if we go to print, here, you know what? We'll make it bigger. We'll make it bigger too. So if we do print, and we're going to want to make string called hello, John, how are you doing? Question mark. So this is a complete string. So in order to create a new line, so let's say we want to do this here. Let me just delete this side. Let's just delete it completely. So far we've been seeing stuff like this, right? So we'll do printf, and sorry, I'm in C mode. How are you? And then we'll just say I am fine. All right, let's print this. Let's see what we see. So we have our first line over here, which is our first print, and then we have I am fine for our second one. But what if we want to put how are you doing onto the second line and move this one to the third line? So in order to do that, you're going to want to do these escape commands, and this is a backslash n. N stands for new line. So if we run this, Anything after this new line should be printed in a new line. And you see this over here. Oh yeah, I can zoom in over here. It says, there you go. It says, hello, John, how are you doing? I'm fine. All right, so that's our new line escape. We can also do tab escapes, right? If we want to do a tab, we just do T for tab. There you go. We have a tab. Oh man, I had to. Oh well. Yeah, you see it. Hello, John, and then tab. How are you doing? So yeah, that will cover it for escape strings. You can again look for other ones. I think those two are just some basic ones you should know. So now moving on to what we started over here with upper, lower, replace, and find. Here we'll just go ahead and we'll just copy this over here. So let's say we have a variable called name, and inside this variable we have our name, and all lowercase, right? We'll just do it all lowercase. In order, we have functions, methods, to get this whole string into uppercase. So how do we do this? Here, we'll first do our print statement so we can see what's gonna go on. And we're going to want to type in our name, and then we're going to follow it by a dot, then upper. As you can see, they're starting to pop up over here. Upper is upper. You can check the documentation on these. I believe, yeah, here we go. Quick documentation. Return a copy of the string converted to uppercase. Pretty much how it says it. Def upper self string. Returns a string. So now let's run it. Make sure you have your parentheses. We'll talk more about definitions in the future, but for now, just know that there are these magical things that turn this string into all uppercase. There you go, Jonathan, all uppercase. So now what happens if here we go, let's just copy this, stick it in there. We also have the opposite of it, lower again. Now it just makes it to lowercase. So that covers lower, upper, and lower. So now if we have replace, all right. So let's put this back to normal. Just go normal name right there, right? Again, we have to call our variable. We're calling variable, and what do we want to do to it? Well, now let's do replace. Replace. Right. We're leaving it blank for now, but let's look at the documentation. Oh. There we go. Replace. And now let's look at the documentation. Quick documentation. So here it says, return a copy with all occurrences of substring old replaced by new. Well, what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It's going to replace. Well, it's going to print. Well, you can replace it, but let's say we want to replace John, right? So we're going to get John. And we're going to separate it by a comma. And we're going to replace it with Tom, right? Let's see what happens. Tomathan. Interesting. What if we do Thomasathin? We are just replacing whatever we put in here that's in name. So name, obviously we can't replace something that's like a W because we don't have a W in there. So it doesn't replace anything. It returns false. And I think it said it returns -1. So this basically returns something from the string that you call. We can even do A. Let's see what happens when we do A. It replaces every instance. If you remember in the documentation, it says that it replaced every instance of it. So yeah, it's going to replace every A, John, Thomas, and it gets weird. So yeah, but let's say we want to replace our J with just a space. It did it. It just blanked it out. Well, not really. It's just replacing it with the space. And now that brings us on to our next one. So we're going to do find. Let's look at the documentation real quick. Quick documentation before we start. So it says return the lowest index in S where substring sub is found, such that sub is contained within S start : end. Optional arguments start and end are interpreted as in slice notation. Slice, we just talked about slice, remember? up there. So now, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when we want to find the occurrence of an n. We get 2. Well, that's funny because we have index 0, index 1, index 2. It returns the first occurrence of n. It does not return the second occurrence of n. So now what happens if we do, what is it going to return? It's going to return 4. Now we don't get an error because it's looking for the first occurrence. The first occurrence of this whole thing. Now this is not my name's not a good example, but it applies with the same thing as A. We have 2 A's, but it's going to return the first occurrence, which is at 3, index 3, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Let's see if we do. Let's think of a better word. Let's think of a better word if I can think of one. I'm not sure, but anyways, here we'll do banana. Right? We have an over here. So if we do an, what's it going to return? It's going to return 1 because the first occurrence in which it begins, this whole string starts at A. Not n, but at A. But we're looking for an. So yeah, that pretty much covers it all for today. I thought I was going to use this white side more, but not really. Maybe I'll use it more for when we talk about lists. But yeah, that should cover it all for our hello world types, expressions, and variables, and our string operations. I'll come up with a couple projects, a little beginner projects that you could try to play with these. But honestly, I don't think you can't really do much with what you have. But I'll see if I come up with some projects, and I'll let y'all know. For the next video, I'm going to be talking about lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. And then we'll move on to more of Python programming functionalities, and such as conditionals, loops, functions, and objects. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed and learned something. It's a pretty long video, so we'll see. All right, thanks.